Ladies and gentlemen, after 100 years, it's that time again!
One of my favorite... So, you always tell the guests to watch the dub. I always watch the subtitles, and then I watch the dub. So this is one of the best departures I've ever seen.
Ooh.
In the Japanese, I'll deal with the Japanese even though you know the English. Because I don't know if you noted this line. But so the Japanese shows up, and basically Sheba's talking like, I'm going to fight you. And Baki's still confused why Sheba's fighting him, right? Mm-hmm. He's like, why are you doing this, right? Like, do you want to like learn how to brawl, or like what's the reason here?
I mean, come on, man. Why do you want to fight me so badly?
And then like, you want to practice for brawling. And in Japanese, Sheba goes, yeah, I guess you could call it practice, but it's practice for you. And then Baki goes, for me? And then Sheba goes, that's right, for you. And then attacks him. Mm-hmm. In English, Sheba goes, I guess that you could say I'm practicing for something big. Practicing to kick your big butt. And then Baki goes, my butt's big? And Sheba goes, that's right, and I'm going to kick it.
Of course, that stuck out to me as one of the oddest dialogue I've seen in a few weeks. I wonder who's right. Oh my god.
I think Sheba's right? Like, that's got to be why Hanayama sent him out there, right? Is to provide practice for Baki, because Hanayama is Baki's pal. Or just because he doesn't like big butts, maybe.
Chiharu, Baki's ass is
like
too
the
fat.
Opposite.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've definitely heard it before. Like, people are like, you know, oh, in a car accident or something, you want to just relax your body. Mm-hmm. Or if you fall down, you want to just like try and relax and not tense
It's
up.
like when you throw a baby out the window. They're going to be
That
fine.
was so dumb.
Adults can actually fall and break their bones, while babies can remain uninjured, even if they fall from a great height. Nature has provided this knowledge.
It's like an adult can fall down and break a bone, but a baby can be thrown from high heights and be okay. And the picture they showed was a baby who had seemingly fallen out, like a full-on baby.
Parking garage.
And it was like 3 things high.
Imagine being in the audience, watching the world's strongest man just beat up somebody older than your great-grandparents. I feel like you have to call the police at some point.
That's the Yujiro Hanma I know.
Look, Baki. I know you're proud of your dad. But the man getting knocked down is over 100 years old, you know.
He would get automatically canceled. Like, his reputation would just be gone. Like, he could be the strongest man in the world, but he's beating an old man to death.
Because there's a translation error. Because I confirmed that the subtitles don't say this. Or what the subtitles say, it's a pity we're fighting in a field. If we could sell tickets anywhere in Japan and people would come watch this. Mm-hmm. Instead, Doppo says,
if we were in Japan, a fight between us would sell out any venue you could think of. But instead, we're here, in the park, in the middle of the night, without a single person watching.
It's too bad we're not in Japan. People would come watch this, which makes no sense. It implies that both Doppo and Muhammad Ali flew to Japan to fight. Flew out of Japan to fight in a random field, and then both flew home afterward.
Yes. Also, like, I feel like if it was Muhammad Ali's son fighting, you could do that anywhere and sell tickets, no?
You'd never, you can't be, okay, my this is from a previous episode, but
okay.
My favorite joke. So when they're first introducing the character, we don't know who he is. And this boxer's going like, this boxer's talking to his promoter, and the promoter's just like, come on, Dave, we gotta go. Like, the guy's late, and the guy's like, no, you don't understand. You don't get a chance to fight a guy like this too often. And the promoter goes, Dave, I know every fighter in the business, and I've never heard of this guy. The guy's name was Muhammad Ali Jr., which apparently in this universe is a pretty inconspicuous name.
Well, first of all, I feel like the people who wrote Baki heard about the term mise en scène and went, "Yep, we don't have to explain anything."
Can you explain what that is?
No.
Oh, sorry, not mise en scène. Sorry, what am I saying?
We don't know.
I meant
Parfait?
I meant
Mise en place.
Après
ski.
Comme ça va?
What's
Est-ce que je peux aller aux toilettes?
Thank you. We're very bilingual here. Medias res. Sorry, I said mise en scène, which is a film term. Medias res, right? With mid conversation.
I don't know what that means, Baki Talki. At this point, we're gonna throw in an ad.
But also, I don't know if you guys caught this. Jack Hanma is Baki Hanma's brother or half brother.
I was gonna say his last name is the same.
Baki Talki?
Baki Hanma.
Wait, is that Baki Talki?
Yes, he is the main character's
the main
half
character.
brother.
The main character's last name is not Talki?
No, it's Hanma.
No,
Did you think that his character name was Baki Talki?
This is a clever pun. It's
we talk about Baki.
Wait, the show isn't called Baki Talki?
No, the show's called Baki. My show's called Baki Talki.
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh my
Gee,
God.
wow.
I was told not to do any background research.
No, you took that to the max.
We saw
That's
him
great.
load up the episode.
How would I know?
Who's stronger? I don't know if this is actual quote. Who's stronger seems like such a simple concept, but
it's actually really
surprisingly deep. And I'm like, okay, what do you mean exactly?
Who's stronger? It seems like such a simple concept, but what it really means can be surprisingly deep.
Yeah, and then he talks about, he basically just complains about all of the old men who've beaten him in the last few episodes, because he talks about a 150-year-old man we saw, and then he talks about Doppo and Shibukawa, who both kicked his ass last episode and who probably combined for 130 years. And then his dad beat him up. It seemed like he was saying, like, it might look like I'm stronger because I'm faster and I punch harder and I'm really young, but it doesn't matter because these old men inexplicably have beaten me.
Maybe he's, like, acting so weird because he has, like, several concussions.
It's very possible.
So another fun thing to think about that moment is, like, what did it look like from the audience perspective? Did he just, like, come in the door and sprint down the aisle and then jump in off from the crowd, or was he hiding somewhere? We don't have any answers to these, nor will we
I really like the idea of him with, like, a trench coat and, like, a hat on so nobody knows that he's in the audience.
He saw somebody hide in disguise once, so he was like, well, that's easy.
He's trying to flag a waiter down, and they keep ignoring him, and he's just like, oh, if only they knew I was really Yujiro.
Yeah, he wasn't planning on revealing himself, but he just was like, I gotta get some service somehow. Let's show him I'm the ogre.
So, first of all, I just want to say to the cast of Baki that I am a huge fan of the show.
Are you sure about that?
I don't know if you knew that, but I just wanted to say a big thanks to all of you guys.
All right, thanks a lot for confirming it. Later.
And I wanted to ask, have you listened to my podcast at all?
You bet your ass.
Can I get your thoughts if you have?
So soft and feminine.
Yeah, that's fair. I just wanted to touch on the description of what happened. So he was, the international media is upset that he brought in the army to kill one African elephant. He says his only mistake is that he didn't bring enough soldiers.
The methods we used weren't wrong. If we made any kind of mistake at all in the way we handled this, it's in the number of troops that we deployed and the kinds of weapons we chose to use against that monster. And frankly, I think we should have called it an airstrike.
That he should have called it an airstrike. And my personal favorite line, they didn't even get a shot off.
In the end, we weren't even able to get one single shot fired off.
So this elephant...
Yeah, they got wrecked by an elephant.
I don't understand how that happens. Like, did the elephant, zoom up on you. Like,
it had to have been like a super speed elephant. Like, they weren't like saying this elephant had like superpowers, didn't have like eye lasers or anything like that. So
maybe
like this is it's still just an elephant, right? Like, not a single bullet was fired. Like, is this the elephant? Is this the elephant, or is this from the military here? Like, did you like just pull the trigger on your gun, man? Like, just shoot it.
So Baki has picked up a praying mantis that he found on the ground last episode, put it in the world's shittiest terrarium, which is just glass with some dirt on the bottom.
There's nothing in there.
This
no enrichment toys at all.
This is why the praying mantis wants to fight at all times.
Yeah, if he posted a terranium tour on YouTube, he'd get ripped to shreds in the comments, being like, "Kill yourself! Like, you can't be a good owner." There's nothing in that terranium.
Baki just responds. He's like, "They hurt me with words because they can't fight me in real life."
It's probably some of the graffiti outside. It's like, take care of your praying mantis, my man.
I love this scene so much. First of all, everything the Japanese reporter says sounds like it was written by ChatGPT. Like, he sounds like a robot.
The use of satellite broadcasting, which was expected to dazzle the entire world, got off to a rather inauspicious start. The name of the hero tragically struck down was John F. Kennedy. Today, inspired by that charismatic yet ill-fated politician, current U.S. President George Bush has decided to hold a parade here in Dallas. The president himself has said that the goal of today's event is to rewrite this state's ominous history and to restore the image of Dallas on the world stage.
However, so his plan is to just fly a bunch of planes into this island, which apparently is a part of America, and just like blow it up.
Yeah, like bomb it to hell. Yeah, drive these like planes real low, and bam, he even says. And yeah. Like, this George Bush 100% planned 9/11. Like, I believe that to a T. Like, you can say what you will about the actual reality, but this George Bush planned 9/11. That's kind of what they're going for sure.
I have a question I like to ask all my returning guests. So let's imagine that we were casting a live action version of Baki. So you're gonna have to cast let's see which character hasn't. If you had to cast one actor to play the mouth, and we'll get to this for listeners. Who would that actor be? And let's imagine that we can either use CGI or two guys who sort of look like him to be the rest.
Right. Elvis.
Elvis? Are we talking about
chubby Elvis.
Or...
No, like the Elvis, dude. I feel like, if Elvis was to go into like start eating a bunch of protein to get to that, that regimen of just working out, I feel like Elvis would be a good pick. Because I feel like Elvis is smooth.
Maybe if he wasn't dead.
I thought you said to put CGI. You said I could use CGI.
Well, I figured that like you have one real person and then the CGI.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Oh my God,
whatever. Star Wars.
We're not spending more time on this.
I had to look it up because I was like, okay, like, is this what I think it's supposed to be? And the answer is kind of. Yeah, so his savior and his roommate, I suppose, comes in. Whatever, they're about to sever this guy's tendon, right? And then it's very much like Tuxedo Mask and Sailor Moon, like this thing like slashes in. It's a pinwheel. And then he does possibly the slowest entrance ever, where he rolls in between these people.
Hey, editor Steve here. So this is one of my favorite moments of the season, but it doesn't translate particularly well to audio. So what we're going to do here is a little audio commentary of the scene, and I'll try and paint a picture of what's going on. So, looking out into the darkness, we can see nothing. A dark prison courtyard. But then, slowly, Che Guevara is doing a continuous somersault. He sort of looks like a human tumbleweed. The mouth is now shaking in fear looking at it. Che Guevara has now traveled across the entire courtyard. He's rolled past them. He is rolling. He's still rolling. He just hit a wall. And now everybody is watching him, and he's fallen over. Everybody is shaking in fear of Che Guevara. And then he says,
I feel sick now.
I love the part about this where it was like, they stated it a few times that the guards didn't even care what was going on, not because nobody could escape, but because nobody would want to escape, because this fight was going to be so good.
No one would try to escape today.
Well, let me just answer your question this way. Even if one of the prisoners did try to escape during all this, I still wouldn't take a single step away.
I'll just pretend I didn't hear that.
Wouldn't this be like the perfect
that would
opportunity?
Be the perfect, yeah, it would be. It would be. If you ever saw the show Prison Break, I mean, this would have been much easier for them if they just left at this point.
No, I like to imagine that they would have been like, well, what if we break out on this day? Never mind. I can't miss this fight. I can't. I'll just come home another day.
Before we go into Gilberto style, I want to say that I was interested in Catherine's reaction on Maria's first line, which is when she just says,
That isn't very cool.
and I think that's the first time she shows up in the episode.
I don't know if she even says a line. Like, they're fighting and then they just cut away to her, and I was like, I don't think I've ever been so confused watching anything. Like, I was so surprised. So I really need a lot more context on, what was her name? Maria?
Maria, yeah.
So why is her bed in the middle of this prison fight? And who is she, and how is she how she is?
You see, I'm actually holding it all in.
You're holding it in?
If I were to just let go and allow the door that metaphorically holds my muscles in to swing open, since they're so big, they'd probably burst out from beneath my skin, crush everyone here, smash through the outer walls, destroy the entire complex, and expand all the way into the sky.
But I assume, like, that's what happens in Attack on Titan. I haven't seen it, but I think
I mean, I haven't seen it either, so you're probably right. You know?
Over the city, destroys walls. There we go.
Yeah.
This is now an Attack on Titan podcast.
Say, Baki, I'm sure that you're not aware of this, but each and every day the food I consume adds up to more than 100,000 calories.
One of the guards says, hey, do you want me to, like, move your motorcycle into the garage? And in response, Oliver just fucking smashes the motorcycle and then says, I was going to trade it in anyway. Which is not a good look. That's an anger management issue.
It's not a great look, but I will say, can you imagine how fucking emasculated you'd be if you rode out in your motorcycle and then some random dude says,
mister, I'll just put this in the garage, okay?
hey, can I drive that 5 feet over to the left for you? I know you got emasculated in the driveway, so I assume you want to go back to your garage.
It's true. I don't know who he was more pissed at, Baki or the guard who had the audacity to speak to him.
I was hoping that he was going to run Baki over with the motorcycle, but it was really a half measure.
I was half expecting him to pull like a Wario and like eat the motorcycle.
Unhinges his jaw. Oh my god! But that's
Unhinged.
Mr. Uninjured. Baki responds. Baki is such a dick this entire scene. I love it. First off, he calls him Mr. Chained a bunch when his nickname is Mr. Unchained.
You really don't get it, do you, Mr. Chained? Are you going senile, Mr. Chained?
So you think that I'm chained up? Is that what you're saying?
That's a savage roast.
It's
Savage, absolutely.
It's so good. Well, here's the thing about Biscuit Oliver that they never do anything with. Like, when he was first introduced, he has his own library in the prison that's just for him, and he's read every book in it. Like,
I didn't realize that.
That's the thing. It's show not tell. Like, he is a Renaissance man. He's a genius, but the way he fights is like a big caveman who just.
So he can go toe to toe with Che Guevara then on Marxist and colonial theory. That's impressive.
Exactly. I'm sure that's what he was reading up on. He was probably reading. It was like, hey, wait, this Che Guevara guy looks a lot like the prisoner Che Guevara.
Hey, didn't he die in Bolivia in 1968 or so?
Is this his son?
This scene where Baki is like biking down on an open road after Oliva decides to release him and the helicopter's following him. I just feel like that scene has really big like ending of a teen movie / coming of age movie energy. And it kind of felt like that would have been a really great place just to stop because it, would have tied up everything really nicely. And I think that that's something that they should have explored because it really does sound like it. Watch, just listen.
I was released pretty fast. Like, surprisingly fast. I didn't even have time to grab my socks. I asked him to give me a bike, some food, bottle of water, and even a little cash. Biscuit Oliver, Mr. Unchained himself, had a request of his own. Well, more like a demand. A helicopter escort to the airport to make sure I got on the plane and left.
And that summer was the start of the rest of our lives. Kozue and I were inseparable. We'd stay up all night talking on the phone. Well, I'd talk at her on the phone. And 3 days before we left for college, I told her to marry me. Oh yeah, my dad and I, we worked things out, and now we're closer than ever. Yeah, sometimes we butt heads, but that's just who we are. That's just the Hanma boys. Oh, and the pigget old lady Sarah's place? Well, let's just say he's still constipated. Till next time, catch you later.
And then we go to the lab of a bunch of scientists, 2 that we care about. Some asshole called Alan.
We're gonna revive him, right?
Don't be ridiculous, Alan. It's not as simple as giving someone mouth-to-mouth resuscitation beside a pool.
And a guy who looks a lot like Albert Einstein, but is actually Albert Payne.
We've always thought that humans first appeared no more than 7 million years ago. To now have to push that back to the Jurassic period.
What did you think of these scientists?
I wasn't sure at first whether they were scientists or orthodontists based on The Office. Took me a moment.
It didn't look that. It wasn't that impressive, yeah.
No, it looked like they were about to change someone's braces.
I do think they had like a strategic light over top of Pickle so that we could do a shot. Pickle doesn't wear pants this whole episode. Also, a lot of you had the great joke about the black hole.
Yeah, it seems that his member must be so dense and so massive that it bends and captures all light that goes anywhere near. Is the only scientific explanation I found.
So Dobo shows up, which is, I do believe, top 2. I'm torn between my favorite, which is Jack Hanma, who is in the koi pond. He just comes up with big cheeks, implying that he was holding his breath the entire time. Also, you pointed this out. I didn't even think about this. This koi pond, in a manga, you draw it as blue, but it's transparent. There's no way this I was gonna say 11-foot tall man, but it's not that far off. There's no way Jack Hartman was not visible in the water.
It's like a 4x4 koi pond. This is a small cage this thing is in.
Yep.
And he's like a 7-foot man, right? Don't they describe him as like a huge man?
He's at least 6'11". Hello, and welcome back to Baki Talki, Season 4, Episode 3, with one of my all-time favorite titles. This is Nature Power versus Battle Power. This is...
for a hot second, I thought you were going to say it with one of my all-time favorite guests, but
no. This is a guest. We've got Jack back.
I know people have been saying that Albert Payne sucks, and I was like, I don't know why he sucks entirely, but this episode made me realize why he sucks, because Pickle killed that tiger really brutally, and then somebody said, "How horrifying!" and Albert chimes in saying, "Especially for the tiger." But he's like, "But we have to do it. We have to get Pickle to eat, otherwise, like, what's the point of it all?" He just does not. He does not care about anything.
He's the number one Pickle apologizer. Like, he is, and he is. This is his most blunt. Like, he comes on. I forget if he comes on TV for this, but he's like,
yes, he does.
Yeah, he's like, I will feed every tiger to Pickle. I will make this species go extinct because this monster man that we have is much more important than these Siberian tigers.
Now, I'm fully aware that the Siberian tiger is an endangered species, but the fact is, they're the only thing we've found that Pickle will eat. So, we can feel sad that there are only 500 of them left in existence. But I say we should be grateful. There are still 500, and if every last one of them has to be sacrificed in order to keep Pickle alive, that's a small price to pay, I say. After all, a tiger is just a tiger. Pickle is a one-of-a-kind treasure.
But the crazy thing about Pickle that I don't really get is that, like, the way they phrase it, it's not clear if they mean that in Pickle's ancestry, like, he evolved from quadrupeds or that he was a quadruped.
The science in this episode is unfathomable. Like, I get my one problem with Albert Einstein is not only is he an apologist, I think he's a terrible scientist.
He does seem to take things at face value. Like when they first found Pickle, he was like, "Yep, man lived with the dinosaurs." That's it. What'd you think of our caveman friend?
I don't love him. I don't know. Weird vibes from Pickle. Like, one, why is he so incredibly sexy?
Yep.
But then he's also kind of nonverbal. I feel like there's something problematic going on there. I don't want to dig into it too deep because I don't really know how to talk about it. But very strange, like Disney's Tarzan kind of vibes.
And they're watching footage of a bullet, and then they record themselves, I guess, playing with a whip. And in both scenarios,
Is there a plane as well? I feel like there's just like a jet or something. They just talked about it.
Yeah. In both scenarios, the important thing is that these objects are moving faster than the speed of sound, and so they create a shock wave.
I honestly, for a second, I was like, "Is that really what it is?" And I just could not be bothered to look it up. Like it's one of those things that, like, it sounds close enough, but I was like, you know what? Sure. I
think this Baki's the master of getting something that's real as your jumping off point. So you go, "Oh yeah, okay," and then it becomes unreal. I believe the shockwave stuff is fine. A whip is the first object to break the first human object to break the speed of sound.
I will say, though, the way that they just, like, introduce the whip is hilarious, because they're just talking about these, like, amazing things that it would, like, create a shockwave, and then they're like, "And a bullwhip." It's like, what? And then he just kind of, like, uses it once, and then just, like, tosses it aside.
This, a bullwhip.
If you know how to swing this woven leather thong just right, the tip of it can reach Mach speed. If you know how to swing this woven leather thong just right, the tip of it can reach Mach speed.
Whether it was invented by accident or a gift from God, the whip is a tool that can achieve Mach speed through human power alone.
Was the whip invented by accident or a gift from God?
Which also that was a quote that I didn't quite get. It kind of seemed to come out of nowhere.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere, and also I don't think those are the only two outcomes. I think somebody might have designed a whip. I don't know. Maybe there's a biblical like version. Maybe like one of the like lesser known parts of the Garden of Eden is that God gave them a whip for some reason. Maybe that's what the snake was supposed to be.
Well, anyways, yeah, no, I was talking about Suedo. Suedo is like hilariously just like reacting.
Suedo's a big guy with big feelings.
That's a really good way to describe him.
German, no!
But yeah, Tokugawa just... And it's weird because Tokugawa, like, I don't know, he's such a weird guy. I'm like, don't you run an underground, like, fighting arena, but you just have a line of, like, people can't eat each other?
Tokugawa's the type of... Yeah, Tokugawa is the guy who runs an underground fighting arena where famously there are no rules. But he is always the guy to be like, no, they're going against the rules.
Yeah.
We've got to stop them. Well, okay, so I wanted to do something here because so at this point we cut to Baki, who's hanging out at his house, and he ends up calling Tokugawa, who is at the arena, and he's like, "Hey, I want to fight Pickle tomorrow." And Tokugawa's like, "Well, you know, there's something you should know about." And he struggles to describe it. So I was hoping we could like sort of role play this. So I'm going to be Baki calling you, and as Tokugawa, just explain to me what's going on. Like paint a visual picture for me. Hey, Tokugawa, so what's going on over there? Why should I come over?
I don't know if you should come over. This is getting weird. They've been making out for the past 10 minutes. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Really, they've been making out. Oh, did they look like they're enjoying it, or?
Oddly, they do. Yes, they're really enthusiastic about it. Oh wait, no, Jack's making a weird face. Oh God, what's happening? He's biting his face off.
Yeah.
But there were a few of them. I thought the eagle was impressive. I especially thought the two to three renditions of dinosaurs were impressive. There was a Triceratops at one point, a T-Rex at another point.
An elephant? A rhino? No, it can't be. Triceratops!
The dinosaur ones are so incredible to me because like I understand that, you know, like Kokeken or like the praying mantis style, like those are real martial arts that are inspired by the movements of animals, right? Like,
right.
But what do you do?
Yeah, that's what they said. It's a style of kung fu.
Yeah,
and I'm really hoping it's true.
But how do you get a real style of movement inspired by a dinosaur? Like, did Baki just watch Jurassic Park a bunch and try, or is he just like, I don't understand how he can mimic it. And how he can mimic it so clearly that other people understand that this is what a dinosaur would walk like. Like it's incredible.
I feel like it wasn't even that. Like his poses looked more like yoga poses, where they were like sort of a slight loose interpretation of what that animal looks like. It was more the Pickle genuinely being confused whether it was Baki or an actual T-Rex that got me. But I'm like, where do you think you are, my man? What do you think is going on? Why is he seeing an actual T-Rex?
That's a great question. I will say in Pickle's defense, he did just wake up from 190 million years ago, so maybe he doesn't really understand.
So he thinks a 16-year-old standing on one foot is an eagle? Excuse me?
Well, he thought it was a tiger, but then the tiger turned into an eagle. Just before we get to the results, there was one line that I really loved that Retsu had. So Pickle does this whole pickle pose thing in like a fraction of a second. But Retsu is, describing it for like a minute and a half. And the guy, and I guess the documentarian asks Retsu, like, how do you know all this? This took 1 second. How did you observe it? And so Retsu's like, have you ever had curry and rice?
In such a brief period of time, how could I have so many thoughts? Well, you know what it's like? It's like taking a bite of a truly delicious curry and rice.
It's like you taste it, and it takes longer to describe how good it is than it is to eat it.
Yeah. Like you'll like I can't eat the whole curry and rice in 1 second, but I could get the flavors all in 1 second, sweet, a little sour. What does him having thoughts in the span of a second have anything to do with the rest of the episode? But for whatever reason, they take a good minute or two for him to explain how eating works.
You know what it reminds me of? There's a Futurama episode where they have to create this TV show to distract the brains or whatever. And so Fry wrote it, and they get about 2 minutes in, and they're on the last page, and they're like, Fry, this has to be a half hour. And he's like,
Fry, there's nothing else here. You only wrote 2 pages of dialogue.
Well, it took an hour to write. I thought it would take an hour to read.
Like that's like the logic here. It's like, I observed it in X time, so it's
yeah.
I would have thought it'd take Y time. The two options are take this man and put him back in the salt, which implies that we have the technology to shove people in salt, or not do that.
Let him live amongst us.
Yeah. Would anybody vote to put him back in the salt?
Yes, absolutely. He's 6'6".
Stereotype.
So
He's almost 80 inches tall. We gotta log that down.
He is too powerful. I'd put him in the salt. Sorry, guys.
I think he's too sexy to put back in the salt.
Do you want to tell the listeners what was up?
Yeah, first of all, my first thoughts. Why is he in the hospital? Why is there a big shot of his chest? But then we find out the problem isn't even in his chest. We see his weird brain. I don't know what's going on. All I know is this was the first quote I wrote down. He says,
Medically speaking, that all makes sense. But the thing is, I can't change the way I live.
I can't change the way I live. Well, you can. You absolutely can. And then apparently we find out that he might have a demon brain.
Yeah.
It was a little far-fetched, but I could weirder stuff's happened.
Do you think it's possible that Franz Ferdinand was the world's strongest man and that he had signed non-aggression pacts?
Oh my god. And then he was killed.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
That's what my history degree, my expertise has brought to this episode.
Is that how you would end most essays?
Just you never know. Yeah, I mean, just with like a cliche statement. Just it is what it is. You never know.
You can't argue with that.
Can't argue. Yeah, can't argue.
See, I see this as quintessential Baki. Like, it's a show that refuses to admit that the people in it are superhumanly strong. So if you want to give them a feat, it's not like Katsumi can go out and like pick up a car. He has to do something that isn't really possible, but in a way that I wouldn't be able to explain it to you. Like, he kicked that bag way too hard for it to be possible. Like, I can't back that up. I don't know the physics on kicking a bag.
They all kind of bend the limits of the physical universe. That's kind of a big thing. Because even, like, with the whole thing, like, you never know how big they are. In some episodes, they're, like, 12 feet tall. Some episodes, 10, 20 feet tall. And then sometimes you're just like, oh, this is just a regular 6 foot tall guy.
Oh, my God, yeah. You weren't even here for the pickle season. They thaw this caveman out of the earth. He's towering over everybody by, like, a head and a half. And then they say that he's 6'6".
Like,
that's that's
no. So now we go back to the titular hero, Baki Hanma. I love these two scenes of Baki. They give us a peek into what he does when he's home alone. And it seems that he is an insane person who just wanders his house as if there are ghosts haunting him throughout it. To the point that people think that there's other people there. But like, honestly, just the two scenes combined just paint this picture of Baki as this guy who, like, I feel like he never speaks to anybody ever once he goes home. Like, he just has his own world. For context, this is Baki staring at a cockroach.
Dissolve. Liquefy these muscles. Well. Long time no see, teacher. I'm very sorry to tell you this, but my strength still hasn't gotten anywhere close to yours.
These two scenes were fire. Like, honestly, I was so into both of them. I would watch a whole show of just like Baki slowly going crazy in his like basement fight cave.
If suspending my disbelief here, because I don't think this is real. It starts with a flashback to 20 years ago. The greatest father-son fight in history finished in a draw. Spoilers, they fight. And as a like a little
prologue,
a last time on prologue, exactly. And then it cuts to a young girl in a completely different animation style.
よどんだ水が溜まっている。それが一気に流れていくのが好きだった。
It was a lot more feminine than most Baki shows I've watched. Like, I thought it was a good direction for the franchise.
He was vulgar. Like, he was calling him like the B-word, and just, I don't know. I was like, I don't want to say it. Don't laugh at me.
The B-word.
It didn't feel appropriate for the two men on the screen. I just was like, this show does not have enough women in it to be able to say that word. I don't know.
Is it misogynistic to call somebody that term in a world without women?
Well, they don't have no women in the world, just no women in the show.
Not yet. Who knows?
Yeah, they're gonna evolve so much so that they just start like, cloning themselves.
I could honestly see if I just opened the manga like 10 years later and it's like some Children of Men scenario where just women aren't there anymore, but like the plot hasn't changed.
Yeah. And they've done it purposely. It's to protect the women, and then eventually they just stop being born.
And I also like he dismisses the artificial flavoring and the preservatives in the store-bought food that Baki serves, and he goes off on a I don't eat wheat, I lean keto and paleo rant that some fathers can go into from time to time, saying I like to eat both food they say is nutritious and food that is poisonous for the body. And that's also kind of interesting because it's sort of anti-fragile, which is, a little bit of stress in the body is good in the long term for it. So he has well-developed philosophical thoughts with respect to how one should eat for such a savage as I had thought Yujiro was, but as late we soon see he's not really this savage guy. But I haven't watched that many episodes.
Oh yeah, no, he's got multiple sides to him. What I enjoyed about that scene was maybe my favorite line of the episode, where Baki says something along the lines of, "Wow, how lucky am I to have my dad talk to me about nutrition."
Holy crap! My dad's taking the time to educate me about nutrition?
And I was like, wow, I can really relate with this Baki guy.
A universal father-son experience.
And that's it. I'll see you all next week. There won't be a best of 2024 because we only got like 7 episodes left. I'll see you then.